financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is, I want out of the debt. Brian Small, good morning.
The debt. And good morning, Ken. Versus debt alone, there might be a difference. There might not.
The debt represents my debt, and that's what I want out of it. I don't want to get out of your debt because you are so annoying because you have none. Good morning, Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, Pat Samasco.
Hi,
Are you laughing over there, Pat?
You guys are like a old married couple. Jibber jabber, jibber jabber.
If one married couple, you're like a couple of couples. That's how much energy you got.
Well, now that we've heard from all of you, let's start with the show. Case study. I want to get right into it today. Jake and Renee, mid-50s.
Is it Jake or is it Jack?
Jack. I think we have Jake for another show on a different day.
I mean, we were talking about that commercial, but earlier.
The commercial was Jake, State Farm.
That's right.
This is Jack and Renee, mid-50s. Jack is self-employed, real estate sales, income $50,000 to $150,000 a year. By the way, folks, State Farm has no interest in this, and they're not giving us anything for mentioning Jake's name. Renee, mid-level exec, works for a utility company, makes good money, income $120,000 a year. Here's their balance sheet. Cash in the bank, $5,000. Jake's IRA, $50,000. Renee's 401k, $225,000. Their house is worth $375,000. They got a first mortgage of $295,000, second mortgage of $45,000. Total assets $315,000. Liabilities, big one, credit card debt $125,000. Medical bills $7,500. They owe taxes from 21 and 20 of $20,000 and $10,000. Total equity after their liabilities is $152,000. Monthly budget. They've got coming in $10,000 a month between the two of them. Mortgage expense $2,250 on the first, $825 on the second. The big wallop tax credit card payments $3,125 a month. $800 in car lease payments. They got gas, car insurance, utilities. At the end of the day, their expenses are running them $10,600 a month. Their income is $10,000. So their debt keeps going up. They're not saving any money, which accounts for why, even though they're making good money, they've got only $5,000 in the bank. What are their options?
What are their options? Well, they've got to.
What are they supposed to do?
They've got to get rid of the credit card debt. They've got to get rid of the tax debt.
Which is more important?
All of it. But the credit card debt is the most important because it's bleeding them to death. The credit card debt we can work out through various and sundry methods, including an installment payment agreement over time.
You're going to put the credit card debt on an
the
installment payment agreement?
IRS debt over
What's the
time.
difference in the interest rate on the IRS debt versus
currently,
the
Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the current interest rate with the IRS is around 6%.
Yes,
that right?
as of the last
Even
quarter.
if you're in a
it got
penalty period,
Yes.
that's actually pretty reasonable.
Well, it changes depending on what type of tax, but for the majority of people, it's at 6%. That's this year because of inflation. It used to be 3%.
I mean,
for
go
many,
back 4
many
years ago, it was like a 0.5% for a while. It was
But think
like-
about
it was
your
like
default
down to
rate
nothing.
on your interest. Well,
Your
forget the
standard
default rate.
rate.
Think about your standard rate. The average interest rate on a credit card right now is over 20%.
Yeah, well, like what's
That's
common.
insane now.
What's common, like people who do these no interest, consumer good deals through stores, those start out at 29%.
Even
Yeah,
if you miss a payment on the no
Yeah,
interest
if you get
deal.
6 months free or a year free of payments.
I haven't
it's
seen
a
one of
credit
those
card.
recently. I bet you they're even higher now because those no interest deals are much less advantageous to the lender now.
And then if you're in default on your credit cards and you do nothing about it, your interest rate is going to start at 30% and keep going up. And so Jack and Renee have a significant financial problem. They're
What are their
bleeding.
options?
Well, we're going to look at all of their financial
Tell me their
crisis
options.
Chapter 7,
What else?
bankruptcy. Chapter 13, bankruptcy. And debt resolution.
Now, how can someone making this much money possibly qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy?
So, in general, Jack and Renee in this situation are not going to qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. They don't pass the means test.
Do they have any means? What do you think about that, Pat? What's your opinion on whether these two people, Jack and Renee, should be able to file bankruptcy?
You know, what I was thinking about is the strife that it causes the family with all of this debt that's hanging around them, that if they don't go to Brian to solve this, they got to go to a divorce lawyer because they're not going to be able to live with each other anymore.
Stress is definitely, how often I see it all the time, you must see it all the time, when couples come in stressed, they'll come in, sometimes they'll come to me with too much credit card debt and I shift them over to Brian to analyze whether bankruptcy is the right solution. But they're sitting at the table talking to me
Glaring at each other.
and not talking to each
God,
other.
yeah.
One is always blaming the other.
Yeah.
It's,
That's a long
not always,
ride to the
but,
office.
but too often. And then once it's resolved, things go back to
Yeah.
normal.
Well, financial stress is incredibly powerful. And what happens here with Jack and Renee, they've buried their head in the sand.
They're making $170,000 a year, though.
And even more in some years. And yeah, but they got themselves in trouble. It doesn't matter how much money you make, it's how much money you're spending.
What's the source? What do you guys, when you look at it, you see they've got tax problems, they got $125,000 worth of credit card debt. What's the driving force that keeps them in a problem right now?
Kids.
Keeping up
It's
with
the
the
kids.
Joneses.
It's the kids.
It's keeping up with a lifestyle that they can't afford.
What I have found is it's a lot of times kids are the factor, and your income, while good now, wasn't good 5-6 years ago when you wanted to start spending money on your kids. So you got into the credit card debt then, and you can't. Once you
Can't
get
get out.
into the debt, you can't get out
You know what I
because
call
of
that?
those monthly payments.
The credit card trap.
You call it
You
that?
call it that? That's amazing.
Have you heard
I
that
don't know
term
where I
before?
heard
You know,
it
I don't
from,
know.
but
I've never heard that term before.
Man, I heard
That's
it from somewhere, but
that's
man,
such
it
a
was
coincidence.
isn't it
It's
fitting?
really
On
incredible.
Very
that
fitting.
concept, Pat having named the problem the credit card trap, we will take a break.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Samasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Samasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Samasco Law.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. After having identified a new problem called the credit card trap by Pat Simasco.
Yeah, not that we've ever been talking about that ever before.
Back to where we were, though.
The means test.
So they're making $170,000. So does that take them right off the bat out of Chapter 7?
Yes and no. So for those people who have regular consumer debt and you're making that kind of money, a family of 4 making $175,000, a family of 2, even a family of 5 isn't going to pass the means test. That's a set of standards set up by Congress. If you make more than the median income, you're going to likely fail this test, and so you won't qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
So it's kind of like this, to remember it, is the concept with Congress was if you have the means to pay the debt, you don't get the benefit of Chapter 7. But in reality, it's just a mean, nasty, rotten test.
It is.
Designed to take a portion of the population and not allow them to have the benefit of Chapter 7 because that's what the credit card industry was lobbying to accomplish. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement. But for those people that are thinking that they make too much money, if you make $120,000 a year as a family of 4, you're still probably going to qualify for a Chapter 7.
So it's somewhere between 120 and 170?
No, it's up to about 120 is about.
Those numbers go up like cost of living increases?
They do.
Are they commensurate with what, like inflation?
Yeah, so
every 3 years they're adjusted.
So they're going to go from 120 to 275 when we get to the next
That's
adjustment.
probably true. Also, with regard to Jack and Renee, if the majority of their debt was non-consumer debt, meaning they had
What's a
failed
non-consumer debt?
business debt, business-related debt.
What's the biggest non-consumer debt that people don't think of?
Income tax debt is non-consumer debt.
Isn't that weird?
It is
You
weird.
think about it?
But if their majority of
As
their
an
debt,
individual, you incur taxes, but that's a non-consumer debt. It's
if
not a
the
business.
majority
it's a
of their
business.
debt
They think of
was-
it as a business debt.
was non-consumer debt, they wouldn't have to take the means test, and
That's
they
a
can
big
still
factor.
qualify for Chapter 7.
So if you ran into a business problem, let's say your business failed, and
you were on the hook
and you were
for-
on the hook for $1 million to the bank on the loan.
Yep.
In that case, you're going to be able to. And now you've got a new job and you're making $300,000 a year.
You still could
could
qualify,
still
for
qualify.
the Chapter 7. Yep.
So if you're out there listening to that, just don't. The takeaway is it's not always what the income is. It also depends on the classification of the debt.
But,
But what about Chapter 13?
Well, it's probably happening that a lot now because with COVID, so many people lost their businesses, can't reopen them, and now they got another job and they're doing great in another field, but they have this debt that
And if they're being
saddled
chased
with.
by the bank because of the debt,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah, we're
potential.
seeing a considerable amount of non-consumer debt cases coming through the door.
I have a client right now that had that was in the cleaners business, and it's a big struggle right now to survive because cleaners got
Oh my God.
hammered
No
by
kidding.
by COVID. Now, a lot of cleaners went out of business completely. So the theory is those that survive should see the rebound because there's less market share
people,
to
yeah.
settle. But it still hasn't happened yet because people have to get back to, wearing suits. Here we are
Right.
today in suits and ties, but it's not every day that we have to do that as lawyers anymore.
Yep.
So what
Chapter
other
13.
And what and if it's not Chapter 13, then what? You're out the door. You're stuck
No,
with
we
the
have
debt
other
for life.
solutions.
You go to
Well,
prison.
Let's discuss. They got rid of debtors' prison at least last week. So
You'll be glad to hear that, Jeff.
Jeff is glad to hear that.
I don't know
Chapter
why
13.
For all of your
funny.
friends that are in debt.
Right.
Chapter 13. Structured reorganization over time, where you repay some or all of your debt over a period of 3 to 5 years. If you don't qualify for a Chapter 7, we're going to look at Chapter 13. Chapter 13, we take your income, we look at your allowable expenses. So
Who decides that, Jeff?
the government.
I tried.
There's a set of standards that are applicable to Jack and Renee.
Same government that came up with the means test?
Unfortunately, yes.
So what, are you allowed $4 a month for food?
No, actually, the standards are fairly liberal. And,
To a point.
But the
Car payments are allowed?
car
payments
payments,
are allowed.
mortgages, etc.
Health insurance payment?
But you
Nursery
still have
school
to
for your
have.
kids?
Pardon?
Nursery school?
Yes.
Yes.
Dance lessons?
No.
No.
Horseback lessons?
No.
No.
Tennis lessons?
So
Golf
that brings up a
lessons.
good point,
No.
though.
No.
Oh, so lessons are not. Educating your children is
Yeah.
not allowed.
Wait, but-
unless it's for school.
No, even private school is
Right.
allowed.
What
Oh,
you need
okay.
to do is educate your kids
In a
while you're
way.
in this process that, hey, we have a problem, we have a financial problem, you can't go to horseback riding and you can't do your
Right.
dance
That's a good
lessons.
point. A
But
lot of
that's
parents
what-
refuse to tell.
They put
don't-
their head
But
in the
the
sand.
thing
Explain
about
that
it
to
is
their
we
kids.
look at Jack and Renee's situation, and we say, all right, what do they have to pay back, or what will they pay back in Chapter 13? And in this situation, their overall budget has them upside down $600, but $3,125
It's all from the credit cards?
is yeah. So they really have $2,500 a month available to pay towards a Chapter 13. But
That's a
they're
lot of money.
It is a lot of money, and it's $2,500 a month in their situation because they're over the median income for 60 months. So now they can afford to pay back all of their credit card debt over a period of 60
Great.
months
So they pay it all back over 60 months and they're out of debt.
at no interest.
I know. Is that great?
It is a good solution.
It doesn't make me excited. Want to know
No,
why?
Because there's a better one.
Because I got to spend $2,500 a month for 60 months to get out of debt. Isn't there a way of getting? Isn't your job to get me out of the debt the fastest way at the
I
least
want out
possible
of the
cost?
debt,
Yes.
Brian. I
Isn't
want
that-
out of the debt.
Don't I get out of the debt at the fastest way at the least possible cost to get rid of the credit card trap?
Yeah, well, that would be a Chapter 7 first.
But I can't do the 7, you said.
I understand.
And now you're saying that Chapter 13 is going to cost me $125,000.
So there's another solution.
And that is?
Debt resolution.
And how does that work? Give me the intro to debt resolution because we're coming up to a break and our commercial sponsors want to have their say.
Debt resolution is the art of negotiating your debt down to settling for pennies on the dollar.
You're too fast. You have another 5 seconds.
That's never came out of your mouth about.
Resolution.
Let's take a break and we'll hear from some of the best sponsors on TV land today.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
We were just spinning. We just didn't know what was going to happen next.
At Samasco Law, we deal with these issues every day, especially elder law. Pat went to work for Fran.
Patrick was there holding my hand, kept saying, "We'll get through this, we'll get through this."
He got her husband Medicaid and in a nursing home. Samasco Law got the success they deserved.
Samasco Law is definitely family to me. I really appreciate knowing all of you.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us to Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 a.m. and Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m. and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. We've got a seminar coming up Wednesday, October 26th, 6 o'clock p.m. Too much debt is needless pain. This is a live seminar at our offices in Bingham Farms. We're going to go over how to eliminate debt, bankruptcy and non-bankruptcy solutions. The key is the future, saving rather than struggling. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Remember, you can always come into the office for a free consultation, or if you're concerned about COVID or any other issues, you can do a teleconference or a phone conference, but you're more than welcome to come on in. We're doing conferences live and in person. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-4357. Also, go online for free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by myself and Jeff Linden. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations and Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasko Law, and Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back, and you said the third way, the
And I tried to say
solution
it
for Jack
slowly,
and Renee was debt resolution. Explain to me what that is.
Okay, so
And to Jeff and to Pat. They want to know.
inquiring minds want to know. All right. They have $125,000 worth of credit card debt. The goal when someone walks through our door is to find the least costly, most beneficial method to get them out of debt in the quickest way possible. We know that Chapter 13 is going to be a 60-month program for Jack and Renee. Chapter 7 doesn't work. So we look to debt resolution, which is generally an 18 to 24-month process where we use the power of the minimum monthly payment, which they've been paying.
The $32.50 a month they've been paying.
31, yeah. And so they're paying that. Instead, we put it in the bank. In fact, we don't even need to put $32.50 in the bank. We could put $2,500 in the bank, so at least their budgets break even every month. And we create a war chest to negotiate with the creditors.
So is this what you're doing, those commercials where I see on TV, it says, if you have more than $10,000 of credit card debt, you're eligible for this secret super duper government program?
Well, first of all,
that's
the tax one
commercial.
But there is no government program in dealing with the credit cards. It's just good, solid lawyering. Negotiation, negotiation, negotiation.
So we stop paying, and then we negotiate the settlements. And so if I owe $125,000, how much am I going to have to pay back?
Somewhere between 35 and 45%.
And when do I have to pay it?
over that same 18 to 24 months. Remember, you didn't have a bag of cash to negotiate
What
with.
do I use to pay it with?
The $2,500 a month that
we're saving up?
That we're saving up, or whatever your
So do I
minimum
have to
monthly
give you the
payment is.
$2,500 every month to hold?
I don't want your money. I want
So
you to
so I hold it, you negotiate the settlements, you call me up and say, here's what I got for Chase, you owe them 50, they're willing to take 20 over 4 or 5 months, let's take out of the war
some
chest.
of them, right, some of them will take it over time, some of them want a lump sum, some of them will take it in 3 installment payments, some of them will take it in 12.
What if I get sued?
You get sued? Who would ever think that if you stopped paying your credit
Well,
card
when I
bills-
talk to American Express, they say to me, if you don't pay within the next 30 days, we're turning you over to collection, and then unfortunately you're going to have to there's going to be a lawsuit filed against you.
And that may happen, in which case we file an answer and defend the lawsuit. Now, it's not a lawsuit that we can really win because it's a 2-question lawsuit. Mr. Smith, did you borrow the money? Yes. Did you pay it back? No. But having someone on the other side to negotiate with is what's important. That lawyer doesn't want to go to court. They don't want to be dragged into a long, lengthy lawsuit.
It's a process, and in fact, so I'm asking Brian the questions, but Brian and I both do this, and sometimes we've actually had the fun with them of saying, I don't know that I owe you that much money. Because how do I know when I sent a payment in 5 years ago on Monday and you got it on Tuesday, you didn't post it to my account till Friday? You've overcharged me credit card interest by charging me extra interest by not posting my payments timely. How do you prove that's wrong?
Well, I got a different part of that, though. I didn't borrow the money from you. I borrowed the money from this other bank 5 years ago. Who
And
are
they
you?
assigned the debt.
And prove that you actually got that debt.
When we have to, we throw up clouds and smoke to simmer the fire down.
Isn't
I
that
don't know,
called
this is the greatest-
defenses?
Yes.
In law school, we called it defenses.
But Brian's point is, the bottom line is we try and settle the debt quickly.
That bullshit, it's real
So bring me
defenses.
home. We settle the debt. We get rid of all the credit card debt, 18 to 24 months. Let's kind of look at the impact for Jack and Renee. Their assets before resolution were $315,000. After debt resolution, they're $315,000. But their liabilities go from being $162,500 to $30,000. So their equity goes from $152,000 to $285,000, and going forward, their budget after they've paid off the credit card debt is how much more per month?
$2,500 cash flowing positive.
Which going forward they're going to save that money for 10, 20 years, and they're going to end up having $1 to $2 million in savings when they go to retire. That's why you got to get out of the credit card trap, use debt resolution when it's right, so that you start building a better future for yourselves. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.